I am April Jean Takbaba from ME3C, and this video will talk about the concepts, principles, and practices of a nuclear power plant and ocean thermal energy conversion. So what is nuclear power plant and how does it works? In a nuclear power plant, nuclear energy is being converted into thermal energy, then thermal energy to kinetic energy, and kinetic energy to electricity. Nuclear power plant uses nuclear reactors which are located inside a containment building of a nuclear power plant. It is a machine that contain and control nuclear chain reactions while releasing heat at a controlled rate. A nuclear power plant uses the heat that a nuclear reactor produces to turn water into steam, which then drives turbine generators that generate electricity. Uranium dioxide is one of the fuels that can be used to produce heat in order for nuclear power plant to generate electricity. The heat can be produced by nuclear fission or nuclear fusion. Nuclear fission is the process of splitting an atom, particularly the uranium. The uranium is bombarded with neutron in order to split in two or more uranium atoms. In doing so, free neutrons and energy are also released. These neutrons can also hit other uranium atoms, therefore continuing the splitting, hence the term fission chain reaction. In nuclear fusion, on the other hand, the atomic nuclei combine and releases neutrons and energy. There are two main types of nuclear reactor. First is the pressurized water reactor. Second is the boiling water reactor. In pressurized water reactor, it pumps water into the reactor core under high pressure to prevent the water from boiling. The water in the core is heated by nuclear fission and then pumped into tubes inside the heat exchanger. Those tubes heat a separate water source to create steam. The steam then turns an electric generator to produce electricity. And in boiling water reactor, it heats water and produces steam directly inside the reactor vessel. The water is pumped through the reactor core and heated by fission. Pipes then feed the steam directly to a turbine to produce electricity. The unused steam is then condensed back to water and reused in the heating process. Next is the ocean thermal energy conversion, or OTEC. An OTEC system refers to using the temperature difference between the deep parts of the sea, which are cold, and the shallow parts of the sea, which are cold, to run a heat engine and produce useful work. It is comprised of components such as an evaporator, condenser, turbine, generator, and pump. This system utilizes the temperature difference between warm surface seawater and deep sea water, taken from depths of 600 to 1,000 meters to generate electricity. So there are two types of ocean thermal energy conversion system. First is the closed cycle OTEC system. So in this type of OTEC system, it uses a working fluid with a low boiling point, ammonia for example, and use it to power a turbine to generate electricity. Warm seawater is taken in from the surface of the oceans and cold water from the deep. The warm seawater vaporizes the fluid in the heat exchanger, turning the generator's turbines. The fluid, now in the vapor state, is brought in contact with cold water, which turns it back into a liquid. The fluid is recycled in the system, which is why it is called a closed system. Next is the open cycle. So it directly uses the warm water from the surface to make electricity. The warm seawater is first pumped into a low-pressure chamber where it undergoes a drop in boiling point due to the pressure drop. This causes the water to boil. This steam drives a low-pressure turbine which is attached to an electrical generator.